And he goes, what if we do the believe sign that says believe? And I just was like,
so that was like
that was Brendan's idea. That
no
showed
way.
up. Yeah, I mean, I was like, it made me laugh, and just it's such a pure idea that it made me like emotional when I received it. I was just like, dude, that is killer.
It was killer.
Yeah.
Welcome to Warner Brothers A Lot More podcast. I'm Jonathon Buckley, and thank you for joining us for this very special episode. Ted Lasso is back for season 4 on Apple TV. And to find out all about it, we have the man himself, Ted Lasso, otherwise known as Jason Sudeikis. Well, Jason, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome back.
Having me.
Is it fun to be back?
Yeah, absolutely. Otherwise, why do it? I don't think the show would be the show if we didn't have fun making it and try to make it as kindly as we attempt to make it, amongst each other, and even doing press, which can be like a little, like it's a little outside the norm of, you don't take improv classes with the hope of doing press someday. Yeah. But even the venture of promoting the show and seeing each other is fun. So it's like we have fun making it, we have fun promoting it, we have fun, in all aspects. So yeah.
I really do love hearing that, because when you watch the show, I get the sense that that's how it is. Mm-hmm. I know it's acting, of course,
sure, yeah.
But there's so much warmth when you watch the show. So does that come early on, like even from the writer's room?
I think first and foremost, it comes from people feeling safe enough to be vulnerable to share their stories. Right. Now, how those stories then manifest into, scripts and jokes and storylines, that is always some modulation, amongst, what one person experienced, and you find out through the room, oh, maybe it's more universal, and so then that person feels seen. It's almost like, in a sweet way, group therapy, I would feel. Writing isn't always about, fingers on keys, but it is about, these shared experiences. And that's another thing that we're always trying to do, less invention of sitcom shenanigans and more like, well, this happened to me the other day, or this happened to a friend, or this was my interpretation of something that I heard about, and then we get to mess around with that.
And often those stories, when they do come so organically like that, resonate with people because they've experienced similar types of things.
Yeah. My ex and I were new parents, so, get concerned, and you'd start to type your concern into Google, and then it would finish the question for you. You're like, oh, I'm not the only one.
I'm normal.
Yeah. And so is my kid, whatever normal is, but they're going through something that other kids have gone through, and then you have to sift through 50,000 replies, then choose ultimately what to do. but still, it's nice to feel one of many.
Yeah. You mentioned a word a second ago, kindly. I was just talking to my mum yesterday because I was late to the game, pardon the pun, with Ted Lasso.
All good.
Literally finished the third season yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, what a wonderful arc and what a wonderful way to wrap that up.
Thanks.
And I was trying to explain to my mum why she's going to love this show.
Okay.
And I was like, it's just so kind. That's the kind of the word that I just kind of, I was like, and my mum loves kindness, and it's important. Yeah. And I think this show is such a great reminder on why kindness matters. Is that fair to say that that's a lot of what you're trying to show with Ted Lasso, or is that just a byproduct of it?
It's a byproduct of it. It's always first and foremost, we're trying to, make something funny. Proud of the way we make it, proud of what we make is like the overall goal. So yeah, who knew that kindness would be an aberration, or at least for a little bit there, especially the first couple seasons. It felt like a bold choice, which we didn't think that's what it was. I just know for me, the trickle down of the character, it was wanting to play something other than I had seen other people play, like super effectively, both comedically and dramatically, like kind of a knucklehead, a boss at the center of something, whether it be the British Office with Ricky Gervais or the American Office with Steve Carell, like that kind of character that in modern times would probably be brought into HR in the first couple weeks, right? Yeah. And so play someone kind, someone that didn't swear. I'd played a lot of kind of womanizer kind of guys in movies and studio comedy. So I was just like, what don't I want to do, and what did I want to do? And so finding the best in people was something that I was responding to in other forms of media, whether it be this fellow Rex Chapman's Twitter feed or Sarah Silverman's Twitter feed, a person I was a fan of at first and now a friend and coworker with, a guy named Dylan Marin. We had a podcast called Conversations with People Who Hate Me, and it was, he used to make online content for like YouTube, and then he'd get just laid into in the comments, and then he'd reach out to these people and say, let's have a conversation, and then he'd turn it into a podcast. And I found that so powerful, so alluring, and this was all like 2015, 2016, interesting time in American history, at least, and probably worldwide history, as time will show. And I was just gravitating towards these things, and they were finding their way to me too. So that's nice when your algorithm hits you that way versus the other ways it can.
And Ted's been with you for now. How many years has it been?
Since 2013.
Right.
Yeah. A little bit longer than my son.
Yeah.
They were pretty much made in the same time.
Around the same time.
Yeah. I felt that's about the closest I'll feel to like Billie Eilish and Phineas when they wrote, What Was I Made For and Birds of a Feather within a month.
Yeah.
I've had that same experience.
It all happened at the
same. It's Ted Lasso and Otis Sudeikis.
Yeah. With the character as kind as Ted, it would be easy for that to be one note and just be like, he's this friendly, pleasant, everything is fine, but you've turned it into such a complex character. He's got so many.
Yeah, don't we all though?
Things.
I sort of reject when people, make him this, this is way too heavy of a term, but I've heard this, like almost Christ-like, because I think even like whoever, Jesus is to you, but who he maybe was like, he had bad days too.
Yeah, bad days. Yeah, there was some stuff going on, and he was doing his best. And so, given that he's carrying so much, he's seen so much in his own personal life, what does he think is about it that helps him dig so deep to bring that kindness out in times where lesser people would not be so?
Yeah, I think we all have our shadows, we all have our baggage, we all have things that have happened to us, and you can choose to, utilize or weaponize them. And I think he's chosen to utilize them. And so the operative word there is choose. He chooses. Like that old sales technique, answer the phone with a smile. Like those things, I don't do that personally often enough. I know if I probably listen to like a couple, songs, like Easy Lover, like Wake Me Up Before You Go, like in the morning. If I dance for, that 3 minutes, I'd probably have a better day than the days when I don't do that.
Yeah.
And so do I do it every day? No. Have I ever done it? I don't think so. But I know if I did, I'd probably feel pretty good. So it's like, how do you have that mindset? I'd say it pretty directly, like in season 2, which I don't mind repeating, but it's like, I'm never going to assume that someone is angry at me or everybody's going through their own stuff, and I'm going to accept that. There's so many great quotes that come to mind.
There are so many, like, not knowing what somebody else is going through is such a big thing.
Or Mark Twain has one that's like, every I think he says every man, but every person's life is both a comedy, a tragedy, and a drama. And it unfolds any moment. We both could be getting text in our phone right now that will change the outcome of our lives, much less our day, and we don't know it yet. And so here we are, just having a little chit chat.
Yeah, here we are. And season 4 is upon us, which a lot of people have been waiting for with bated breath. It's a change this season, big change. Yeah. Premiere has come out, and get to see a little bit of Kansas, your hometown. How was it getting to show off a little bit of that?
It's great. I mean, I have the real fortunate experience to host a couple charity events where we invite people from out of town. People come back, and it's like once they've felt its power, both with the people, but architecturally, like artistically, I think
really showcase it quite
athletically, well. It is. We've done a few different little, you could say, quote unquote, love letters to London at night. A big episode for us in season 3 was a love letter to Amsterdam, because both Brennan and Joe and I had spent time there.
Which looked like such a fun episode to shoot.
So fun.
I just feel like Amsterdam's such a wonderful place, part of the world,
and so much more than like the cliches of it. But
that's what I've always said. I'm like, you hear about the red light district and
the
weed
coffee
or whatever.
shops,
It's so much more. And you did a great job of, again, showcasing that.
Yeah, write what you know, write what you, but also write what you feel too.
Yeah.
And so the Kansas City one was great. I mean, it was humid as hell. We shot at the end of July, which is very, very warm. You can see some of that on faces. As I was watching on the big screen last night, I was like, I'm sweating my brains out. But I was like, it kind of works for the character. I'm having a little bit of an intense conversation with my mom, and that happens.
And how was it bringing the cast from England? Was it some of their first times in Kansas?
Oh, yeah.
So what were their opinions from it, outside the show?
Exactly the arc of the show.
Is that right?
Where Juno, loved it immediately.
Yeah.
Jeremy and Hannah, as they're, Hannah more so than Jeremy, kind of like, everybody's too nice here. And then by the time her and her brother were there, and her daughter was friends with my kids. Just like, what is going on? Everybody's so nice, holding the door open. And then by the time they left me, I'm like, hate that they have to go.
I don't have to leave.
But Hannah's been once before. She came out for Thundergong, one of the charity events I mentioned earlier. But we don't get out as much as we did during that, 10 days we were there. But
and I enjoyed the barbecue, because that's still
great.
Some of the best barbecue I've had is in Kansas.
Yep, same still. Very, very proud of that, and you could never pick a favorite. Yeah, exactly, yeah. But that was one of the initial images when thinking about the new season, but then also specifically that episode was just the brass, as we call them, Rebecca, Keeley, and Higgins, just devouring barbecue and having it all over them, and like that was just an image that was always stuck in my head and made me giggle. And so then we get to do it.
All right. Well, this year we've got a new team, the Lady Greyhounds.
That's right. Yeah.
From a technical perspective, you've done such a great job casting. Obviously, in the first 3 seasons, so many of the cast have gone on to create and carve out their own careers from such talented people. How do you approach casting a whole new team? We
have an amazing cast director named Theo Park, because casting will happen during the writing. So you have these invisible ideas, right? Then you're trying to find someone, a visible vessel to like make them real. And so you have the broad strokes of things, and it's very similar to the way we do scripts, where like we know what the song is. We know what we're looking for, but also you're staying open to what someone brings to it and how they lean into it. And many times, especially in the first 3 seasons, I'd have just sort of a picture of someone in my head that I did not know if they exist or not, because it's at that point just like an archetype. Very specific things with that archetype as far as like what their character's gone through and whatnot, but not so dialed in that you can't then, when you have the opportunity to hire Hannah Waddingham, not have Rebecca now sing, things like that. Jeremy, Higgins didn't play the stand-up bass in the script. It wasn't until Jeremy and I had a conversation about his facial hair that then that I'm like just listening and then listening a little bit more, and then then I just start. I don't know, I can't explain it, but tie these things in my head, and then whatever. So in this process, we have these broad strokes of who these characters are, and then you start watching auditions, and it starts to, some people you just know right away. So like Tanya, who plays Coach Alice, that was a character that was, I would say creatively divisive in the writer's room, because we were asking a lot of this character, especially when you first meet her, to go head to head with, I would argue our main protagonist of the show, Rebecca Welton, and giving her, some guff. And in the same way that Rebecca gave, the head coach back in the pilot in the first season guff, that's a lot to lay on someone. And people were doing it well, but then you start questioning, is our writing, are we doing something wrong? And then I remember I was in my office and someone came down and goes, "Hey, I think we have someone for Alice." And it was this moment where I walked into this room, and all those conversations of like, I don't know if this exists, or this person is this person is this. And I watched it, I'm sitting there watching it. Like if the TV was here and everybody's sitting at the table like this. Within the first 20 seconds I'm watching, I'm like, yeah, that's it. That's her. They had all been talking about it. So I knew I had the confidence of, these 12 people that are all in this boat. We all got an oar, but it's like, as like the captain who occasionally has to go, down below to make sure, Leo's not dancing on tables. I'm coming in and go, yeah, that's it. We got it. Okay, great.
Got it. Isn't that funny? I've heard of that before, and obviously it's sort of bandied around that's the way it works. But when somebody just walks in and you don't necessarily picture their face per se, but you kind of get a sense, and then woof.
Yeah, and then me personally, I'd watch it, once hearing the words, and then I watch it with the sound off. Yeah. And just to sort of like, do I believe it? Like, and Tanya has such an amazing expressive face, but played it so, straight. You never know. I love cast directors. I think they're truly the wizards and witches of this business, and unsung, in a lot of ways. They read this material, they see these invisible things, but put it right into a visible, and then, people come in. We always want people to kick out. We want the decision to be difficult. Yep. Sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it's just like boom.
You mentioned a second ago, like laying it on to the new cast. Ted Lasso is such a big thing now because it's been around and it is so anticipated. And I'm sure a lot of these actors are going to step into these shoes now. They know what's behind it. Is there a lot of pressure? Do you feel almost like a coach in a weird way, bringing them in from an acting perspective, a behind the scenes perspective?
One of the nice things of getting to do this press is, people are asked questions that I would never have thought to ask or felt brave enough to ask, and I get to hear the answers. So yesterday, Brendan and I were sitting with Tanya, and it was nice to hear from her perspective, unless she's doing some equally impressive acting that she does off camera by saying that everybody was very kind to her, because that's the sense that I get. I got to work at this this place, Saturday Night Live, which is an institution, and you're there for how long you're there. There's only not even the creator of the show, Lorne Michaels, has been there for all 50 years. He was gone for 5 years, so it comes and goes, and so I know that feeling of being the new kid and coming into a system. It's like your cast is never going to be as good as Will Ferrell and Molly Shannon. And it's like I agree, but we might be something different. And me, Kristen, Andy, Bill Forte, Fred Armisen, Keenan, like we did become something different, but we got our time with it, and nothing is promised. But it was nice to have that experience, and I feel like that's the one thing I can sort of map into this. Also, nobody plays for the Lakers for all their lives. Like people come in and out, teams go up and down. So
one has to follow LeBron.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's something I'm definitely sensitive to, but probably from having gone through it myself and not consciously. Yeah. But everybody, we do it. We take care of each other. We look out for each other, and I think that falls into, from what I can tell, all departments.
I love to hear it.
Yeah.
I think the timing is perfect for the series right after the World Cup, obviously.
Sure. An excellent commercial for us. Great warm-up act. Yeah.
Right. Well, and also a great pre-act because we've got the Women's World Cup next year as well, which should hopefully gin up even more interest in that as well.
You would hope. I would assume. To just be riding this incredible wave that's been going for a long, long time. That being women's sports is tremendous, and it's something that's similar to the love and care we had for the game of football that people didn't necessarily know. Like the football community opened their gates to us, with open arms, and even more so since people have actually seen the show. But early on, people were warm to the idea once they realized that we weren't. There's nothing parasitic in our relationship to the sport, to the game, and whether that is the men's game or the women's game, because it comes from a place of genuine enthusiasm and love and respect. And so there's no level of politicking or importance to the weight we're giving it. We're just honoring it, which is I think a fun way to go. It was always a fun way to do impressions on Saturday Night Live, is to do an impersonation of someone that you genuinely liked. It feels different than when you're doing it maybe in a snarky, judgy way.
Love it. Yeah. Well, I can't wait to meet the rest of the team as the series unfolds.
Yeah, they're great.
I promised there was a few questions that we wanted to ask you just quickly. Best thing to do in Richmond?
I think go have a pint, some fish and chips anywhere down near the river. There's so many lovely places. It's a very walkable area.
I imagine just walking around there, you're constantly just going, oh, I have to add that to the show because there's a nice little cultural difference.
It's something else. It's always funny when we do end up there, it feels a little bit like being Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse and Donald Duck at Disneyland, because there's so many tour groups and there's big walking tours. Like it did for many moons, say, and it may still, like on Google Maps, it says Ted Lasso neighborhood, where you're like, wow. I'll be darned. Especially in a town like that has a lot of history.
You've made your mark. Best thing to do in Kansas City?
Go down to the plaza. That's the area that we shot in. It's like an outdoor mall, like modeled after Seville, Spain, our sister city. Which I've never been to, but I know that as a fact. And I think have a nice meal. There's good barbecue down there. You can go buy a bunch of swag with Kansas City on it.
Gotcha.
No, I don't think there's a city in America that has more T-shirts than Kansas City. Yeah.
Rank your soccer skills from 1 to 10.
Oh, golly. I mean, I'm probably at a 2. 10 being the highest.
Yeah, that's pretty low.
Maybe.
You didn't take part in any of the boot camps that I've heard you guys do?
No. And I'll kick the ball around. I mean, maybe I'm a 3.
Yeah, just because between takes, surely you're just...
Oh, I love noodling around with it, but I'm much better on FIFA, and even then, I'm probably only a 6. Or EAFC as it's called now. But
do you play with your son?
Yeah. I think a lot of season 2 was written while playing FIFA. Because we were writing it during lockdown.
Yeah.
And we had before the show had even come out, we all had PlayStations. I bought, sent them to all the different players, and I would just sit there with a notebook, and we'd all be on there, and we'd play pro teams where we were all on the same team.
Yeah.
And I would just write down, different jokes relative to who.
You know how to cross it in and get a header.
Yeah.
Okay. That's basically.
Yeah.
If you can do that, you're getting goals.
Yes, exactly.
That's awesome. Your go-to dance move beside your famous Running Man.
Probably just like going like this.
That's nice.
Making a face. Yeah.
I like the way you get the chin to sort of.
Exactly. Just staying on the groove.
Which cast member would you recruit on your darts team?
Abby is quite good.
Okay.
Yeah, Abby Hearn, who plays Gemma. She's Yeah, she's a killer, and we played a lot of darts. The cast, especially me and Brendan, Abby, our buddy, producer Chip.
At the pub,
we went to this place called Flight Club, which I love. They've got them all over the country here now. Several in London. I think that place is fantastic. It makes darts immediately infectious. You play games there, and then we end up getting aboard. We went to go see the darts at Ali Pally. Like, yeah, we went hog wild. I mean, it's been a blast. But yeah, Abby would be my number one draft pick there.
Gotcha. Obviously, we saw you at the World Cup final, which the World Cup is one of the greatest events. I think it's for me personally.
It really is. It was tremendous, and to have that access and that to get to see all that stuff. But also going to watch soccer with Brendan, who plays Coach Beard, is joyful because he knows, much like the character, everything and can explain it all to me. Very similar to the way Beard talks to Ted, which
just happened?
Yeah, exactly. But also the history of it and why this matters, and like culturally and historically, and it's a blessing to have him as a friend, much less as a coworker.
Amazing. The question is, are you a believer?
100%.
100%?
Yeah, man, I love that kid.
Yeah.
I got to meet him, ages ago when he hosted and was musical guest at SNL. We did some sketches. I bump into him, every couple times a year, one thing or another. I think the world of him. I think he's just a good kid. I love Haley. I think they're lovely together, and I was really, really excited when we found out that that's what we were doing. Chris Martin asked, and it's very weird to have in that big of a situation. The things that feel normal are speaking to Chris Martin about being asked to do it, and then introducing Justin Bieber, only because I'd had experiences with him outside of this, and then doing it side by side with one of my best friends and my coworker Brendan. So you're only worried about those four people, despite the 70, 80,000 people watching. The live show
and the billion or two.
Don't even think about that. Don't even think about that. And then my favorite thing about it, my two favorite things, was during the rehearsal, seeing Justin, catching up with him, hearing how they're doing, and then when we did the first run through, just gave him one little acting note, and I was just like, just come in, don't even look at me, just come in like the way those the men and women do when they're coming in, and they're just like focused and just stay, you got eye of the tiger, and just like you got work to do, and the kid took the note just like that, very coachful young man. And then the other one that happened the night before rehearsal, and it was 100% Brendan's idea. He texted it to me. He goes, what if we do the believe sign that says believe? And I just was like,
wait, so that was that
was Brendan's idea. That showed up. Yeah, I mean, I was like, it made me laugh, and just it's such a pure idea that it made me emotional when I received it. I was just like, dude, that is killer.
It was killer.
Yeah,
it takes someone special to figure that one out, because it seems so obvious. I guess
the best jokes do.
Yeah,
and that's what I mean. It was just sitting there.
Yeah.
None of their team thought of it, I didn't think of it. Greg and Brendan did, It's just like, how? And, my only regret is that I didn't snake that sign, get Justin to sign it and hang it up in the house.
Who's got that now?
I don't know. The Smithsonian, the Bieber Foundation, exactly. The estate of, who knows? Hopefully someone that understands it's important.
It's important. Puts it in a nice frame.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Come on.
You're a legend, Jason. Thank you so much.
No problem. Nice to meet you. Yes.